Miss Rourke, step away from that coach. Ada kept one hand on the lead horse and the other on the broken trace. 6 passengers watched from beneath the stage awning. Mr. Bell, the route supervisor, stood in the road with dust on his black coat and anger in his face. "You held the coach here for 2 hours," he said. "A woman running a station alone was a poor idea from the start." The words landed where he meant them to land, in front of everyone. Ada did not lower her eyes. She tightened the strap, tested the buckle, and said, "The South Bridge washed out. I stopped them before they reached it." Bell gave a hard laugh. Then a man stepped down from the coach and said, "She saved every life aboard." His name was Eli Mercer, though Ada did not know it yet. Bell turned on him. "And you are?" "The man who found your telegraph line down 3 miles east." He was tall, lean, and younger than Ada by enough years to make it plain. A coil of wire hung from one shoulder. "Your warning never reached this station. Miss Rourke saw the creek rising and made the choice you should thank her for." No one spoke. A woman inside the coach pulled her child close. The driver stared at his boots. Ada finished fastening the trace and stood. "I don't need thanks," she said. "I need the road checked before you send another coach over it." Bell's face went red. "You will speak when asked, Mercer." "So will she," Eli said. "And you asked who caused the delay." Ada looked at him then. Most men who defended a woman did it with a hand placed over her words. They spoke louder, stood closer, and waited for gratitude. This one stayed 2 steps away. He did not touch the reins. He did not tell her what to do. He only made room for the truth. Bell muttered about reports and schedules. Then he climbed into the coach and slammed the door. The passengers followed, quieter than before. Ada handed the reins to the driver. "Take the north road," she said. "It adds 5 miles, but it stays above the creek." The driver nodded. This time he did not argue. The coach rolled away in pale dust. Bell never looked back. There are moments when a person is shamed for doing the very thing that kept others safe. Some of you know that feeling. Tell me in the comments if you have ever stood steady while someone tried to make your strength look like a fault. And subscribe if you care for stories about quiet people who refuse to bow. When the dust settled, Ada found Eli beside the station wall, taking the wire coil from his shoulder. "You did not have to speak for me," she said. "I didn't." Her eyes narrowed. "I spoke to him," Eli said. "You spoke for yourself." That answer stopped her for half a breath. Red Mesa station sat alone between a low ridge and a dry wash. It had a stable, a kitchen, 3 rooms for travelers, and a telegraph office with a dead line. Ada had run it for 4 years. She cooked, kept the horses, changed wheels, cleaned rooms, and knew which roads turned dangerous after rain. She needed no man to explain her work. Eli looked toward the wire sagging from the nearest pole. "Where do you want the equipment?" "By the back wall, not near the water barrel." He carried it there without another word. He set down his pliers, hammer, wire, and climbing hooks. He placed nothing on her table. That mattered more than it should have. "You can eat before you go," she said. "There is stew." "I can pay." "I did not say you could not." A corner of his mouth moved, but he was wise enough not to smile fully. "Yes, ma'am." "Ada." He nodded. "Ada." She almost took it back. Inside, she filled a bowl and set it at the far end of the kitchen table. He washed at the basin before sitting. He did not ask why there were 4 chairs when only one showed signs of use. The stew had gone thick over the fire. Eli ate every bite. "You are a lineman?" she asked. "Until the line stays up without me." "That happen often?" "No." She looked down at her cup, so he would not see the change in her face. A loose shutter tapped against the wall. Ada rose. "I'll fix it after supper." Eli stayed seated. She had expected him to jump up and make himself useful in the way men often did when they wanted to be noticed. Instead, he tore a piece of bread. "Do you want help?" "No." "All right." That answer bothered her. It also eased something she had not known was tight. She carried her bowl to the wash pan. Behind her, Eli finished eating and placed his spoon inside his bowl. "Good stew," he said. "It was better at noon." "I wasn't here at noon." "No." The shutter tapped again. Ada took the hammer outside. Evening had cooled the air. Red light lay across the ridge, and the coach tracks were already fading. She dragged a chair beneath the window and stepped onto it. One leg sank into soft ground. Eli was beside her before she could fall, but he did not grab her. He caught the chair back and held it steady. "I have it," she said. "I know." "Then let go." "When both legs are flat." She looked down at him. His hand stayed on the chair, not on her. Ada climbed down. He moved the chair to firm ground and stepped away. "There." She fixed the shutter while he waited near the water barrel. When she finished, he carried the chair inside. "You follow orders well," she said. "Only clear ones." "And unclear ones." "I ask." She wiped dust from her hands. "That may be the first sensible thing I have heard from a man this month." "It's only the 12th. That is why I said May." This time he smiled. It changed his face, just enough to make him look less like a stranger passing through. Ada turned toward the stable before she could study him. The next morning, Eli climbed the first pole before sunrise. Ada heard the iron hooks bite into wood while she mixed biscuit dough. By the time the coffee boiled, he was high above the ground, cutting away damaged wire. She carried a cup outside and set it on the fence post. He looked down. "That for me." "It is not for the horses." "How do you take yours?" "You are holding it." He climbed down later. The coffee was no longer hot, but he drank it without complaint. After breakfast, a freight wagon came in with a split-wheel rim. Ada spent the morning fitting a brace while the driver paced and asked too many questions. Eli worked beyond the stable. He never came over. Only when Ada called his name did he set down his pliers. "Hold this spoke." He did. "Higher." He moved his hand. "Not that high." He lowered it. The driver laughed. "You got him trained quick." Ada's shoulders went still. Eli looked at the man. "She knows the wheel, I don't." The driver stopped laughing. They finished the brace in silence. When the wagon left, Ada found grease across Eli's sleeve. "You ruined your shirt," she said. "It was already a shirt." "That makes no sense." "It still is one." She shook her head and walked inside. She stood over them, then took one away. A few minutes later, iron hooks scraped down the pole. Eli entered, washed his hands, and looked at the single bowl near the stove. Ada opened the cupboard, brought out the second bowl, and set it across from hers. "I made too much," she said. He sat without answering. For 3 days, the line remained dead. For 3 days, Eli worked from pole to pole while Ada ran the station. He returned tools where she told him. He closed gates behind him. He never reached for a task she had not offered. On the 4th evening, the telegraph key began to click. The sharp sound filled the office. Ada stood in the doorway while Eli listened, one hand beside the machine. "What does it say?" she asked. His face changed. "Bell is sending a man from Dry Creek." "For the line." "For the station." Ada did not move. "He means to put Red Mesa under a male keeper by the end of the month." The office seemed too small. Ada reached for the back of a chair, then stopped before touching it. Outside, the repaired line hummed in the evening wind. Eli waited. He did not tell her it would be fine. He did not promise to fix what was hers. Ada looked at the telegraph key, then at him. "Will you send a message for me?" she asked. "Yes." She pulled out the chair and sat. "Then take this down exactly." "Send this," Ada said. "Red Mesa Station will remain open under my care until the company proves I have failed at the work." Eli's hand rested near the telegraph key. "That all?" "No," she kept her voice even. "Add that I stopped the northbound coach from crossing a flooded bridge after their warning failed to arrive." He tapped the words into the line. The key clicked beneath his fingers. Ada watched the small metal arm rise and fall. She had heard the sound for years, but never had it seemed so much like someone knocking at a closed door. Eli waited for the answer. It came slowly. "What does he say?" she asked. "He says Mr. Bell will inspect the station in 12 days. Ada looked toward the kitchen. The bread needed turning. 2 horses needed brushing. A room upstairs still held the dust of yesterday's passengers. Ordinary work waited in every direction. "Then he will find it running," she said. She left Eli in the office and took the bread from the oven. For the next hour, neither of them spoke about Bell. Eli checked the line west of the stable. Ada carried clean sheets upstairs. When she came down, she found him tightening a loose hinge on the office door. "I did not ask you to fix that." "No." She folded the sheets over one arm. "Then why are you fixing it?" "It kept pulling the wire loose when the door opened." She looked at the hinge, then at him. "That is line work." "Today it is." He finished, wiped the screw head with his thumb, and handed her the screwdriver. Ada put it back in the drawer. At supper, she set out beans, salt pork, and 2 cups of coffee. Eli sat across from her. The evening light reached through the window and lay across the table between them. "You can stay in the east room," she said. He looked up. "Until the inspection. The cot in the telegraph office is too short." "I've slept on worse." "That was not my question." "You didn't ask one." Ada pressed her lips together. Eli lowered his eyes to his plate, but she saw the smile he tried to hide. "The east room," she said again. "You can use it." "Thank you." "You will pay the usual rate." "I expected to." "Good." He drank his coffee. She had not told him the east room was the warmest one in the house. The next morning, Ada found his blanket folded square at the foot of the bed. The wash water had been emptied. His boots were outside the back door, with the mud picked clean from the heels. She stood there longer than she meant to. Then she carried the blanket downstairs and put it beside the stove, though it did not need warming. A farm couple arrived before noon. Their wagon axle had cracked 10 miles out, and they needed a room while the blacksmith in Dry Creek made a replacement. Ada settled them upstairs. Eli took their horses without being asked, then stopped at the stable door. "Do you want me to feed them?" "1 scoop each, the gray bites." "Does he warn first?" "No." Eli studied the gray horse. "That seems unfair." Ada turned away before he could see her smile. The station stayed busy through the week. A mail coach came late. A peddler slept in the kitchen because every bed was taken. 2 soldiers watered their horses and complained about the coffee before asking for more. Eli worked the line by day and helped only when Ada called him. At night, he sat near the stove with a length of wire across his knees, shaping small loops to replace worn fastenings. He never filled the room with talk. That was one reason Ada began to notice when he was gone. On the 7th day, He rode east to check a weak pole near Coyote Cut. He said he would return before dark. Ada made supper for one. Then she added another potato to the pot. The sun dropped. A wind came up from the wash, pushing grit against the windows. She lit the lamp in the kitchen. There was no reason to light the small lamp by the front door. She lit it anyway. By 8, the coffee had gone bitter. At 9, she stood on the porch with her arms crossed. A horse appeared at the far bend. Ada stayed where she was until Eli rode into the yard. His hat was gone. Blood had dried along one side of his forehead. She went down the steps. What happened? Pole gave way. You said it was weak. It was weaker than it looked. He slid from the saddle and caught the stirrup when his knee bent. Ada took the reins. I can walk. I did not ask. He looked at her, then let go. Inside, she sat him at the kitchen table. She brought water, clean cloth, and the small tin of salve she kept above the stove. It is only a cut, he said. Then it will be easy to clean. He stayed still while she wiped the blood away. The cut was shallow, but a bruise had begun near his temple. Ada held the cloth there. Eli's hands rested flat on the table. You should have come back sooner. I came back when I could. You could have stayed at the Miller place. I could have. Why didn't you? His eyes lifted to hers. You left the lamp on. Ada's hand stopped. That lamp is for travelers. I know. You are a traveler. For now. The words were simple. Still, something in her closed hard. She set the cloth in the basin. There is stew on the stove. Ada, you should eat. He watched her move the bowl, cut bread, and place a spoon beside it. I didn't mean to trouble you, he said. You did not. You waited. I keep the station open until the road is empty. The road was empty 2 hours ago. She turned toward him. His face held no victory, no teasing, only the quiet certainty of a man who had seen the lamp and understood what it meant. Ada gripped the edge of the stove. Do not mistake kindness for a promise. I won't. Men do. I'm not other men. They all say that. Eli looked down at the bowl. Ada wished he would argue. Anger would have been easier to hold. Instead, he said, I'll remember the lamp was kindness. She stood by the stove while he ate. The next day, Eli moved carefully, but he went back to work. Ada watched him from the kitchen window as he tested the repaired pole in the yard. When he raised both arms, his shirt pulled tight across his shoulder, and she saw him stop at the pane. She went outside. You are done for the day. I've got 2 more braces. You can do them tomorrow. Bell comes in 5 days. It is my station. Yes. Then when I tell you to stop damaging yourself on its account, you stop. He lowered the hammer. Yes, ma'am. She pointed toward the porch chair. He sat. Ada brought coffee and half a biscuit left from breakfast. She set them beside him. You skipped noon. I was working. So was I still ate. He picked up the biscuit. You notice a great deal. It is my business to notice what people need before they ask. Do you ever let anyone do the same for you? Her face cooled. Eli took a bite and looked toward the road. He did not repeat the question. That evening, Ada found a small tear in his work glove. She carried it inside after he went to wash and placed it beside her sewing basket. The leather was thick. The needle fought her. She pushed it through with a thimble and drew the thread tight. Eli came in while she was finishing. He saw the glove in her hand. Ada tied off the thread. It would have torn wider. I suppose it would. She held it out. He took it carefully, as if it were something finer than an old glove. Thank you. It is only a repair. I know. He slipped the glove on and bent his fingers. Too tight, she asked. Number fits right. The room grew quiet. Ada closed the sewing basket. Outside, hoofbeats sounded on the road. A rider came fast through the dusk and stopped near the porch. It was Mrs. Tate from Dry Creek, carrying a folded notice. Mr. Bell posted these in town, she said. I thought Ada should see it before he arrived. Ada opened the paper. The notice said Red Mesa Station required new management. It named Eli Mercer as the company's preferred keeper. Ada read the line twice. Then she looked at him. The repaired glove was still on his hand. Ada read the notice a third time. Eli Mercer, preferred keeper. The words were plain enough. Still, she searched them as if a different meaning might be hiding between the lines. Eli took one step toward her. I didn't ask for this. Ada folded the paper once. No. No. Mrs. Tate looked from one of them to the other. I should get home before dark. Ada thanked her. Eli brought her horse from the rail and checked the cinch. Neither spoke until the rider disappeared down the road. Then Ada walked inside. Eli followed as far as the kitchen door. I did not know he put my name on it. She laid the notice on the table, but he knew your name. So did every passenger on that coach. He knew your work. I repair company lines. He knew where to find you. Eli removed the mended glove and set it beside his hat. Ada noticed that small act. He would not argue with her wearing something she had repaired. It made her angrier. You arrived the same day Bell decided I should be replaced. The line was down. And now it is fixed. Yes. And the company has named you. I didn't ask them to. Ada pulled open the stove door and added wood, though the fire did not need it. You should take the position, she said. Eli was quiet. It comes with a room and regular pay. I don't want it. His jaw moved once. You think I came here for your station. I think men often want things before they admit it. And I think you decided what I am before you knew me. Ada faced him. His voice had not risen, but something in it had changed. For the first time since he arrived, Eli looked hurt. She knew she should stop. Instead, she said, I know enough. He picked up his hat. The repaired glove remained on the table. I'll sleep in the telegraph office, he said. The East Room is paid through the week. I know. He went out before she could answer. Ada stood alone in the kitchen. That night she heard him come in after midnight to use the telegraph. The key clicked for several minutes, then stopped. She did not ask what message he sent. In the morning, his room was empty. The blanket had been folded square. The wash water had been emptied. Nothing remained except one pine needle near the bedpost, caught in a crack in the floor. Ada swept it out. Eli was already working when she opened the station. He had taken the cot in the office, though his shoulders hung over one end. She put coffee on the fence post. Then she carried it back inside before he climbed down. At noon, a coach arrived from Dry Creek carrying 5 passengers and enough gossip for 20. A stout woman in a purple bonnet asked whether the new keeper had begun taking charge. Ada kept her hand on the stable latch. There is no new keeper. The woman glanced toward Eli, who was coiling wire near the office. The notice says otherwise. The notice was printed before an inspection. Mr. Bell must have his reasons. Ada opened the stable door. Your horses need water. The driver hid a smile. At supper, the passengers crowded around the kitchen table. Ada served chicken, beans, and biscuits. Eli remained in the office. She had not invited him in. The woman in the purple bonnet broke a biscuit in half. A place like this is heavy work for a woman alone. Ada passed the gravy. I have managed. Until now. The room went still. A little boy at the end of the table dropped his spoon. Ada bent to pick it up. The office door opened. Eli entered with dust on his shirt and a paper strip from the telegraph machine in his hand. He did not look at Ada. The west line is clear, he told the driver. You can leave at first light. The woman in the bonnet smiled at him. We were discussing your new post. I don't have one. The notice is wrong. He placed the telegraph strip beside the driver's plate. I sent my refusal last night. Red Mesa has a keeper. Ada remained bent beside the child's chair, the spoon in her hand. The woman's smile faded. Eli filled a cup from the water bucket and went back to the office. He had not waited for thanks. Ada washed dishes long after the passengers went upstairs. She scrubbed one plate twice. Then she dried the table, folded the cloth, and opened the office door. Eli sat on the short cot with his back against the wall. His boots were on the floor. The mended glove lay beside him. You refused the post, she said. Yes. You sent the answer before I accused you. Yes. Ada looked toward the telegraph key. Why did you not tell me? You had already decided what the answer would be. That has not stopped you from speaking before. No, he rubbed one hand over his face, but I was angry. The plainness of it left her with nowhere to hide. She moved a wooden chair away from the wall and sat. Eli waited. I was engaged once, she said. His expression did not change. We were going west together. I sold my sewing shop. He kept the money because he said a man should handle the tickets. Her hands rested in her lap. I waited at the depot until the lamps went out. The agent finally told me Walter had boarded an earlier train. Eli looked at the floor. He took everything, he asked. Not everything. She had kept her hands, her skill, and her name. She had worked until Red Mesa became hers to run. Eli nodded slowly. Not everything. She looked at him then. He understood the correction. I should not have accused you, she said. No. Ada almost smiled despite herself. You could make that easier. I could lie. That would not help. No. Silence settled between them. The East Room is still paid through the week, she said. I can stay here. You are too long for that bed. I was too long for it yesterday. Ada stood. Bring your blanket. He looked up at her. This does not settle anything, she said. I know. It means I was wrong about the notice. I know. And you will not leave your boots in the hall. I never did. She gave him a hard look. This time he smiled. He followed her into the kitchen carrying the folded blanket. Ada warmed the coffee she had made that morning. It had gone bitter, but neither complained. The next few days passed with a careful peace. Some distance remained, but it could be crossed when needed. Eli began taking breakfast at the table again. He repaired line braces by day. At supper, he listened while Ada counted room charges and supply costs aloud. Once, when she lost track, he gave her the number without looking up from his coffee. You were listening. You say things clearly. She checked the column. He was right. On Sunday, no coach was due. Ada made corn cakes and opened a jar of peach preserves she had been saving. Eli noticed. Special occasion. The jar was dusty. That serious? Very. They ate on the porch. A warm wind moved through the telegraph wire. The sound was low and steady above them. Eli spread preserves across a corn cake. Bell will be here Tuesday. I know. He may bring a company man. I know that too. You want me present. Ada watched a lizard cross the road and disappear beneath the steps. Yes, she said. Eli set down his knife. Because of the line. Because you saw what happened at the bridge. He waited. Ada drew one finger around the rim of her cup. And because I would rather not face him alone. The words felt strange after they were spoken, not weak, just new. Eli did not reach for her hand. He did not make the moment larger than she could bear. He only moved the jar of preserves closer to her. All right, he said, you won't. Tuesday morning arrived with a black company coach on the eastern road. Mr. Bell sat inside. Beside him was a gray-haired man Ada had never seen. Eli stood near the telegraph office. Ada straightened the station sign, wiped her hands on her apron, and walked into the yard. The coach stopped. Bell stepped down carrying a leather case. The gray-haired man followed. Then Bell looked past Ada and smiled at Eli. Good, he said. You're still here. That will make the transfer easier. Ada felt Eli come to stand beside her. Not ahead. Beside. And this time she did not ask him to move. Mr. Bell stepped around Ada as if she were a post in the road. Mr. Mercer, he said, opening the leather case, the company has prepared temporary authority. You can begin today. Eli did not look at the papers. I already refused. Bell's smile thinned. You refused by telegraph. Men say many things over a wire. I thought you might answer differently after seeing the station. I've seen it. The gray-haired man removed his hat. His face was lined from sun and travel, but his eyes were alert. I am Jonas Weller, he said, regional superintendent. Ada gave him a small nod. Ada Rourke. I know who you are. Bell cleared his throat. Mr. Weller is here to observe the transfer. No, Weller said. I am here to inspect the station. Bell's mouth tightened. Ada felt Eli beside her, quiet and steady. She had asked him not to leave her alone. He had understood that this did not mean taking her place. Weller looked toward the stable, the water trough, and the repaired station sign. Show me the property, Miss Rourke. Ada led him first to the horses. She showed him the feed bins, the spare harness, and the shaded stall kept ready for animals that came in overheated. She did not rush. She did not boast. Bell followed, making notes no one had asked him to make. At the coach shed, he pointed to a dark stain beneath one wheel. Leaking grease. Ada crouched and rubbed the mark between two fingers. Old stain, the wheel was packed yesterday. Weller checked the hub. She's right, he said. Bell shut his book. They moved through the kitchen and guest rooms. The beds were made. The wash pitchers were full. In the east room, Ada noticed Eli's folded shirt on the chair. Bell noticed it too. So Mercer has settled in. He pays the posted rate, she said. A convenient arrangement. Eli stepped forward. Ada lifted one hand. He stopped. She looked at Bell. Say plainly what you are trying to say. Bell glanced at Weller. A station keeper's reputation matters. So does a supervisor's, Ada said. I suggest we both guard ours. Weller coughed into his hand. It might have hidden a laugh. The highest danger was no longer the station. It was whether Ada would be forced to stand alone while a man turned gossip into judgment. Stay close, because what Eli chose to do next would tell her more than any promise could. They entered the telegraph office last. The key sat quiet on the desk. Fresh wire ran cleanly along the wall. Weller checked the connections. "Good work," he told Eli. "Thank you." Bell opened the leather case and drew out a printed form. "The company needs one responsible head at Red Mesa. Mercer can oversee the station and the line. Miss Rourke may remain as cook and housekeeper." Ada heard the clock tick behind her. She had faced dust storms, sick horses, and winters when supply wagons did not come. None of that had prepared her for the calm way Bell erased 4 years of her life. He held the form toward Eli. "Sign here." Eli looked at Ada. Not for permission. Just long enough to make sure she saw him clearly. Then he took the paper. Bell smiled. Eli tore it once through the middle. The sound was small. It filled the room. He placed both halves back in Bell's leather case. "I repair lines," he said. "I do not steal stations." Bell stared at him. "You are throwing away steady work for a woman who accused you of doing exactly that." "Yes." Ada's breath caught. Eli's eyes stayed on Bell. "She was wrong once. You are wrong on purpose." Weller closed the leather case. "That is enough, Bell." Bell pointed toward Ada. "The company cannot leave a remote station under a lone woman. The telegraph must be watched. Coaches need a man here." "Coaches need water, sound horses, safe roads, and someone with sense," Weller said. "From what I have seen, they have those things." Weller turned to Ada. "There is one problem. The company plans to make Red Mesa a full telegraph stop. The key must be answered from dawn until the last scheduled coach passes. You are not a trained operator." "No. Mr. Mercer's repair assignment ends in 3 weeks." Ada glanced at Eli. He had not told her that. Weller continued, "I can leave the station under your name if you qualify on the key before he goes. If you do not, I must place an operator here with authority over the office." Bell found his smile again. 3 weeks is not enough." Ada looked at the telegraph key. "How long does training usually take?" "Months," Weller said. "Then I had better start today." For the first time, Weller smiled. "I thought you might say that." Bell snapped his case shut and walked out. Weller stayed for dinner. Before leaving, he told Ada he would return on the first coach 3 weeks from Thursday. When his wagon disappeared, Ada went into the telegraph office. Eli stood by the desk, sorting wire clips. "Your assignment ends in 3 weeks," she said. "Yes." "You did not mention it." "You did not ask." Her eyes narrowed. "That answer is becoming tiresome." He set down the clips. "I was sent to mend the line. Once it holds, the company sends me somewhere else." "Where?" "I don't know yet." Ada touched the back of the chair. "Men left, sometimes with stolen money, sometimes with polite words, sometimes because leaving was simply their work." "I can teach you the key," Eli said. "In 3 weeks. You learn fast." "You do not know that. I watched you rebuild a wagon wheel while a fool talked at you." "That is not the same." "No, the wheel was harder." Ada pulled out the chair and sat. "Begin." He moved beside her, close enough to guide but not crowd. He showed her how to rest 2 fingers on the knob. His hand hovered above hers. "May I?" She nodded. He adjusted her wrist with 2 light fingers, then stepped back. "Do not strike it," he said. "Let it answer your hand." Ada pressed the key. The first sound was too long. Eli shook his head. She tried again. Too short. By the 10th attempt, heat had risen into her face. "This machine is badly made." "It works for me." That proves nothing. It proves it enjoys my company. She looked up at him. He was trying not to smile. Ada tapped the key again. This time the sound came clean. There, Eli said. One word. Her anger eased. They practiced until the kitchen clock struck 9. Eli sent simple letters from the other side of the desk. Ada repeated them back. At first she heard only clicks. Then patterns began to form. Eli sent her name. She answered with his. The lamp burned between them. Outside, the wire moved in the dark, carrying other people's news across miles neither of them could see. Eli sent another word. Stay. Ada's fingers rested on the key. She knew it was only practice. Still, she could not answer. Too difficult, he asked. No. She pressed the key carefully. Learn. His eyes lifted. That will do, he said. For the next week, their days found a new shape. Ada ran the station. Eli repaired the last weak stretches of line. After supper, they sat across from each other at the telegraph desk. He sent names of towns. She sent them back. He sent coffee. She answered bitter. Some evenings, Ada became so tired she confused the letters and pushed the chair back hard. Eli never told her to calm down. He poured fresh coffee and waited until she sat again. On the 8th night, a message came from Dry Creek for a doctor. A child at a ranch north of Red Mesa had been bitten by a snake. Eli was in the stable with a lame horse. The key clicked. Ada froze. The message came again. She sat, placed her fingers on the knob, and answered. Slowly, she took the ranch name. Slowly, she sent word to Dry Creek. Then she ran outside for Eli. By dawn, the doctor had passed through Red Mesa on a fresh horse. At noon, the line brought the answer. The child would live. Ada read the message twice. Eli stood in the doorway. You did that, he said. We did. I was in the stable. You taught me. He came closer, then stopped. Ada placed her fingers over his for one brief moment. Thank you, she said. He turned his hand beneath hers, but did not close it. Ada pulled away first. That evening, the western line began clicking before supper. Eli listened. His face went still. What is it? Ada asked. He wrote down the message, folded it once and put it in his pocket. Company business. She waited for him to say more. He did not. Later, Ada found the east room door open and Eli's travel bag on the bed. For the first time since he arrived, he was packing. Ada stood in the doorway. Eli folded a shirt and placed it in the travel bag. When are you leaving? He looked up. I haven't decided. You are packing. I was told to report to the rail depot tomorrow morning. For what? A line crew is going north. They lost 2 men in a rock slide. The company wants me to take charge until winter. Ada's eyes moved to the bag. Good pay. Better than repair work. And steady. For 6 months, maybe longer. She nodded once, then you should go. Eli stopped folding. You did not ask whether I want to. You said the company wants you. That was not my question. Ada stepped into the room and picked up a loose shirt from the chair. She folded it more sharply than it needed and put it beside the first. The station is almost ready for inspection. You have completed your work. My work, yes. She reached for another shirt. Eli caught the cloth before she could lift it. Ada. She let go. His hand stayed on the shirt between them. Do you want me to leave? The honest answer rose too fast. She pushed it back down. You have a chance at a better position. That is not an answer. It is the only one you need. His face went still in the way it did when something hurt more than he meant to show. No, he said. It is the answer you give when you are afraid to ask for anything. Ada turned toward the hall. He did not block her. That made it harder to walk away. I asked one man to stay, she said, once. Eli's voice softened. I am not him. I know that. Do you? She gripped the doorframe. Behind her, the travel bag gave a small creak as the bed settled beneath it. I will not build my life around whether a man catches a train, she said. I am not asking you to. Then go if you want to go. And stay if I want to stay. Ada closed her eyes. She could answer a telegraph call from 40 miles away. She could stop a coach before a washed-out bridge. She could mend leather, turn a sick horse, and feed 12 travelers with half a sack of flour. She could not say one simple word. Stay. Eli waited until the silence became its own answer. All right, he said. Ada walked back to the kitchen. She set 2 plates on the table. Then she returned one to the cupboard. At dawn, Eli's bag remained in the east room. He was in the office when Ada entered. A message strip lay beside the key. I told them I would answer tomorrow, he said. You should not delay on my account. I am delaying on mine. She sat at the desk. Send the test. For 3 hours, Eli tapped messages from the far side of the office. Ada wrote each one, then sent the proper reply. A freight wagon delayed by a broken axle. A doctor requested at Mason Creek. A change to the northbound coach schedule. She missed one letter in the second message and caught it before Eli spoke. At noon, he set down his pencil. You are ready. Mr. Weller decides that. I know what ready looks like. She looked at him across the desk. And what does leaving look like? The question escaped before she could stop it. Eli leaned back. Sometimes it looks like a packed bag, he said. Sometimes it looks like a person standing close enough to touch you while keeping every door shut. Ada rose too quickly, striking her knee against the desk. He reached toward her, then stopped. She rubbed the sore place. That was cruel. Yes, he said, I am sorry. She expected an excuse. None came. Eli moved the chair back into place. I don't want to punish you for what happened before I knew you. Then do not. But I cannot keep pretending. I only care whether you pass a telegraph test. The key clicked once as the line shifted. Ada stared at it. What do you care about? You. He said it without stepping closer. I care whether you eat when the station is full. I care when you light the lamp and pretend it is for strangers. I care that you repair a glove as if a man's hands matter to you, then act as if the thread meant nothing. Ada's throat tightened. Eli went on, quieter now. I know you can live without me. I never doubted it. I am asking whether there might be a place where you do not have to. The room held only the faint hum of the wire. Ada touched the edge of the desk. You are younger than I am. I know. People will talk. They already do. You may wake one morning and decide the station is too small. I may wake one morning and find the roof leaking. That does not mean I plan to abandon the house. Despite herself, Ada let out a breath that was almost a laugh. Eli's face softened. She looked toward the window. The road lay empty beneath the noon sun. I do not know how to answer you, she said. You do not have to answer today. But the train leaves tomorrow. Yes. The plain truth was that patience did not always look like waiting in one place. Sometimes it looked like giving another person room to speak without forcing the words. That is why this channel tells stories about quiet choices, because those choices often carry the most weight. That afternoon, Ada burned the biscuits. She had not burned biscuits in 4 years. Eli ate too. "They are hard," she said. "They soften in coffee. You should not encourage poor work." "I am trying to protect my teeth." She looked at him over her cup. The ease between them had not returned, but warmth still found small ways through. After supper, they walked to the last telegraph pole beyond the stable. Eli wanted to check the brace before the inspection. Ada carried the lantern. The light moved over dry grass and cracked ground. At the pole, he pulled the wire once, then nodded. "It will hold." "You sound certain." "I did the work." "So did I." He looked at her. "Yes, you did." They stood beneath the humming line. Ada remembered the first day, when he had placed his tools exactly where she told him. She remembered the chair beneath the shutter, his injured head at her table, the repaired glove on his hand. "You never tried to take over," she said. "No. Even when I made it difficult. You made it clear. I accused you. You apologized. Poorly. I understood it." She lifted the lantern slightly. "What would you do here if you stayed?" "Work the line, repair it when it breaks, take messages while you sleep." "That sounds like employment." "It does." "What else?" Eli looked toward the station. A lamp glowed in the kitchen window. "I would eat at that table, fix what you ask me to fix, leave alone what you don't, maybe put another chair on the porch." Ada's fingers tightened around the lantern handle. "And if I never become easy?" "I did not ask for easy." He reached into his coat, then stopped before drawing anything out. Ada noticed. "What is that?" "Nothing you need tonight." She did not press him. They walked back without speaking. At the porch, Eli took the lantern from her and hung it on the hook. His fingers brushed hers. This time, Ada did not move away at once. The next morning, Mr. Weller arrived on the early coach. Bell came with him. Ada sat at the telegraph desk while Weller stood behind her. Eli remained near the wall. The test began. Messages came from Dry Creek, Mason Creek, and the rail depot. Ada copied each one. She sent answers. Once, Bell coughed loudly while she counted the taps. She stopped. "Would you like water?" she asked. His face darkened. "No." "Then kindly be quiet." Weller hid a smile. The final message came fast. A coach horse had gone lame west of Red Mesa. The driver needed a fresh team ready within the hour. Ada answered, then rose from the desk. She told the stable boy which horses to harness, instructed the kitchen to pack food for the delayed passengers, and sent a return message with the expected time. Weller watched it all. When the work was done, he removed his spectacles. Red Mesa Station remains under Ada work. Bell opened his mouth. Weller raised one hand. "The decision is made." Ada did not look at Eli until Bell had gone outside. He was smiling, not proudly, as if her success belonged to him, simply because it belonged to her. Weller signed the station book, then turned to Eli. "The North crew leaves at 3. Have you made your decision?" Eli looked at Ada. She had one last chance to give him the word he had not demanded. Her lips parted. The coach bell rang outside. Eli picked up his travel bag. "I will give you my answer at the depot," he said. Ada followed him into the yard. Through the open top of his coat pocket, she saw the corner of a train ticket. The rail depot stood 12 miles east of Red Mesa, where the stage road met the tracks. Ada rode beside Weller's coach because there had been no room inside after Bell took the forward seat. Eli sat across from Bell with his travel bag between his boots. No one spoke much. At every bend, Ada told herself she had come only because the company required a station keeper at the rail meeting. The lie lasted until she saw Eli touch the ticket in his coat pocket. At the depot, men from the North crew waited beside a stack of tools. Steam drifted around the engine. A conductor called for passengers to board. Bell climbed down first. "There is your future, Mercer," he said. "Good pay, men under your charge, better than taking orders from a woman at a dust stop." Eli lifted his bag from the coach. Ada felt the old depot return around her. Not this depot, another one, another platform, lamps going dark while she waited for a man who had already left. Her hands went cold. Eli looked at her. She could have nodded. She could have wished him well. She had survived one train leaving and could survive another. But survival was not the same as truth. "Eli." He stopped. Ada crossed the platform. Bell, Weller, the line crew, and half a dozen travelers watched her. She did not care. "I have spent years making sure no one could take anything from me again," she said. "I became so good at it that I nearly refused what was freely given." Eli set down his bag. Ada swallowed. "I cannot promise to be easy. I know. I may still ask foolish questions. I'll answer them. I may tell you to leave me alone." "Do you mean it now?" "No." The word came out small, but it held. The engine hissed beside them. Ada looked at the ticket showing above his pocket. "I want you at Red Mesa," she said. "Not over the station, not because I need a man to run it. I want you there because the table is better when you sit across from me." Eli's face changed. For once he had no quick answer. Bell gave a short laugh. "Mercer, do not throw away a real position for supper and sentiment." Eli drew the ticket from his pocket. He looked at it once, then placed it in Ada's hand. It was a northbound ticket, paid in full. "I bought that yesterday," he said, "before you asked me to stay." Her fingers closed around it. "Then why give it to me?" "Because I want you to know I had somewhere to go." The conductor called again. Eli picked up his bag and stepped away from the train. "And I chose where to remain." Bell's face hardened. "You have no position at Red Mesa." Weller spoke from behind him. "He does if he wants one." Everyone turned. Weller rested one hand on the head of his cane. "The company needs a permanent operator on the Red Mesa line. Miss Rourke keeps authority over the station. Mr. Mercer keeps authority over the wire. Neither answers to the other except where the work requires it." Bell opened his mouth. Weller did not let him begin. "And you will no longer supervise Red Mesa." The platform went quiet. Bell stared at him, on whose complaint? "Mine." Weller looked toward Ada. "I have watched you mistake control for order. The company can teach schedules. It cannot teach judgment." Bell's face went pale beneath the dust. The conductor shouted, "All aboard." Bell picked up his case and climbed onto the train without another word. A moment later, the North crew boarded. Eli stayed on the platform. The train pulled away. Ada watched the last car pass, but she did not feel the old emptiness. The ticket remained in her hand. Eli stood beside her, close enough that his sleeve touched hers when the wind shifted. "Are you certain?" she asked. "Yes." "You did not even ask the pay." "I suppose I should." Weller named the amount. Eli considered it, That will do. Ada looked at him. You chose before knowing. I knew where the coffee was. It is often bitter. So am I before breakfast. Weller shook his head and walked toward the depot office. Ada looked down at the unused ticket. 12 years earlier, a ticket had carried a man away with her money and her trust. This one had done no such thing. It had stayed in her hand because a man had stayed by choice. She folded it once and placed it inside her apron pocket. Eli lifted his bag. Do I still pay the usual rate? For the East Room? Yes. For now. He smiled. That sounds hopeful. It sounds like rent. They rode back to Red Mesa with the late coach. At the station, Ada went straight to the kitchen. Work had waited for them. Beans needed soaking. A water bucket sat empty. 2 guest beds had to be turned before dark. Eli carried his bag upstairs. When he came down, Ada was cutting bread. He moved toward the water bucket, then stopped. Do you want me to fill it? She glanced at him. Yes. He took the bucket. And Eli. He looked back. Put your boots in the hall if you like. His smile came slowly. That's serious. Do not test it. The first weeks were not grand. They were busy. Ada answered the key in the mornings. Eli took the evening watch. When coaches arrived late, he changed horses while she fed the passengers. When the line failed during a hard wind, she held the lantern while he climbed. He added another chair to the porch. He asked first. Ada said the porch did not need one. The next evening, she carried her coffee outside and sat in it. By early winter, people had stopped asking who ran Red Mesa. They saw Ada at the station book and Eli at the key. That was answer enough. Bell's printed notice disappeared from the dry creek wall. No one missed it. One night, snow dusted the ridge and a coach arrived after midnight. A mother stepped down carrying a sleeping child. Ada opened the warm East Room for them. Eli moved his things to the small room beside the office without complaint. After the travelers slept, Ada found him at the kitchen table, mending a harness strap. You gave up your room. They needed it. You will not fit in the small bed. I have survived that before. Ada set down 2 cups of coffee. You could move your things into my room. The strap went still in his hands. She sat across from him. I am not asking because the beds are full. I know. I do not intend to ask twice. Eli laid the strap on the table. Then I should answer clearly. Yes. I would like that. Ada looked at her coffee. There are conditions. I expected several. You do not move my sewing basket. I value my hands. You do not leave wire on the washstand. Fair. And if you intend to marry me, you will ask before spring. Mrs. Tate has begun looking at me in a way I dislike. Eli stared at her. Ada lifted her cup. Was that unclear? No. He stood, came around the table and stopped beside her chair. Ada Rourke, will you marry me? She looked up at him. You waited until I told you. I have learned to follow clear orders. She touched the mended sleeve of his shirt. Yes. He bent and kissed her. It was not a young man's victory or a lonely woman's surrender. It was 2 people agreeing to remain. They married at Red Mesa after the winter roads opened. Weller came from Dry Creek. Mrs. Tate brought a cake that leaned to one side. The stable boy wore a coat too large for him. Ada kept her name on the station sign. Eli never asked her to change it. Months later, another northbound train crossed the far ridge at sunset. Its whistle carried over the dry wash. Ada stood at the station door with the unused ticket in her apron pocket. softened now along the fold. Once that sound had meant someone was gone. Now Eli was behind her, setting 2 cups of coffee on the porch rail. Ada watched the train disappear. Then she stepped inside, and he came with her. She closed the door against the evening wind. For the first time in her life, she did not mistake being chosen for being saved. Red Mesa needed her steady hands. Eli simply loved the woman who owned them.